with Miami's Community News, and our guest today is Laura Lucas from the Coral Reef Medical Supply business. So welcome to our show.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
One of the greatest joys we have here at Community News is being able to feature different local businesses. So you have a real local business,
Yes.
right? But before we get on to talking about the business, let's talk a little bit about you and how you wound up being in this business.
It was just an opportunity that was presented to us. My husband, he's been in the medical supply business. So when we were presented with the opportunity to take over the management of the business, and we took it over about a year and a half ago.
Okay. And prior to that, what were you doing?
Property and casualty insurance.
No kidding.
Yes.
Is that where you learned about reimbursements from, if you will?
Yes.
And
something like that.
So here, your husband's been around the medical arena for a while, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when did you hear about it first, or did he hear about it?
He heard about it first.
And he comes home and he says, "Listen, Laura,
Yes.
there's an opportunity." What was it like when he first said what it was?
It was a little interesting because at first I thought, oh, well, maybe we can do this. I can sell a wheelchair. And then once we actually got in there, I kind of had second doubts because I realized there was more to a wheelchair than I assumed.
So were you excited when he brought it home, or were you sort of like a little trepidation, a little concern?
I was excited, but I was a little bit concerned.
As well, most people are.
Yes.
And that's a good thing to have, to be able to say, let's really look at this.
Correct.
So what was it like moments before you signed the papers to take over?
It was very interesting. It's still kind of a process, so we're still working on that. Currently, I'm still managing the store.
Mm-hmm.
So we're in process of those legal.
So Coral Reef Medical Supply has been there for years.
Yes.
How long?
It has been serving South Florida since 1980.
It's really incredible. I remember much younger years going by and saying, look at that, look at that, look at that. It's amazing. And you're right on 143rd Street?
Yes.
And US 1?
143rd 07 South Dixie Highway.
And what else is in that shopping area?
We have Pittman Photo, Benjamin Moore, Butcher Shop, Dairy Queen.
By the way, some of our equipment here, some Pittman Photo. Thank you very much, folks. That's another family business.
Yes.
I think they're third generation.
Okay.
Yes. And interesting enough, when they first started 50 years, maybe 60 years ago, my father was in the radio and TV business, and where he worked from was right down the street from Pittman Photo.
Okay.
So we were sharing stories about what was going on there.
It's really interesting.
So people come in, they call you, right? And people can walk in and they need certain medical supplies from people that are in their family or friends.
Correct.
That need equipment.
Correct.
Right? And typically, when somebody walks in, what type of equipment do they typically need or start asking for?
So we service customers that need something for their family members that may have an injury or an elder family member. We also assist that family that may have a rambunctious child that got injured, your athletes from high school, or any athletes that play sports.
So when family members come in for their elderly and at this point perhaps fragile parents or grandparents, when they come in, what sort of state are they in? Emotional state, like, oh my goodness, what do we do?
There's different stages. They're the customers that have knowledge of what they're looking for, that they're just replacing something. Then we also have customers that wander into our store because they've heard of us and they're looking for an item for their elderly parent, and they come in and they're very overwhelmed because they don't know where to start. So.
And when you do that, you make suggestions to them. And what about this? What about handrails? What about non-surfaces? What about a certain type of chair, or wheelchair, or walker, things like that?
Correct.
And there's tough things for people to do, for the family members to do, because historically they may not have any experience with that.
Right.
So you help guide them.
That is correct.
And you do, and on wheelchairs, and do you handle oxygen for people if they need that?
We do not do oxygen.
No. But on the wheelchairs, you can deliver that for them?
Yes, we do have wheelchairs. We deliver the wheelchairs. We offer hospital beds. We offer walkers, shower accessories. So we assist them in finding the right thing for their loved ones.
So most people would never want to put together a wheelchair, right? But when you deliver it, it's fully functional.
Yes, that is correct.
And you have the ones that different designs for it.
Mhm.
And is a motorized wheelchair something that's getting more common, or that hasn't really taken place?
It not necessarily, because currently, as we all know, due to supplies, some of those things are kind of hard to get at the moment. But we don't really specialize in electric wheelchairs. We do mostly manual, and the electric wheelchairs are heavier to carry. So if you don't have an equipped vehicle to carry that wheelchair, a manual wheelchair that's lighter, it's easier for someone.
And where does the family member, the caregiver, get the knowledge about how to help somebody in and out of a wheelchair?
I think a lot of it, sometimes they have caregivers that assist them. A lot of them, it's a bit of a trial and error. So we're not experts per se, but we do try and help them go through the situations based on what we hear from other customers.
So there is a technique for doing that, getting people up, and at that critical point to where either they're going to fall back down or fall to the side. And so certainly people can look it up on how to help their family member get in and out of a wheelchair.
Right.
And they come in different sizes?
Yes, the wheelchairs do come in different sizes. So there's 18 inches, 20 inches, or wider if you need it. And also, besides the wheelchairs, we do have items to assist them. So we have gait belts, which are used to help lift a patient out of their seat safely, so that they don't fall and it doesn't injure you on the process.
CPAPs have gotten more common recently because a huge number of people suffer from sleep apnea.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Do you sell any supplies for that?
We do sell some CPAP supplies. Unfortunately, right now, because of recalls from some manufacturers and the supplies, the shortage in supplies, we are limited. But we do call a lot of our manufacturers and ask them what's their availability, and we usually can get the customer an item within a few days or a week.
So because of the supply chain issues, people in all sorts of industries have been suffering, right? Because of lack of supply, right? Do you get a sense of, in your field, is it loosening up a little bit?
Yes, it is a little bit.
And you can feel the difference.
Yes.
And in the old days, if you could order something and you get it, like, back when in 2 weeks, we'd be upset. Now we expect it to arrive tomorrow morning.
It arrived yesterday.
Yeah, exactly.
Yesterday, yes.
And so here at our shop here, we get Amazon stuff all the time, all right?
Mm-hmm.
And when it doesn't come the next day or the day after, we get frantic. Where is it?
Yeah.
So we've learned to have that expectation.
Correct.
But just a few years ago, 10 probably, we're accustomed to it. We go and order it would be delivered. So what is the age group of the people that come in to your store or call you? And typically, again, what they're looking for?
Majority of our customers are elderly people. So we have customers that come in, but to look for beds, wheelchairs, walkers, incontinence supplies. But we also help a lot of the younger crowd.
So when they hurt themselves,
yes,
in sports,
yes.
Well, Andres and I, we don't hurt ourselves anymore in sports, right, Andres?
We yesterday we had a young lady that came in looking for something to put on her crutches because she's in high school. She injured her knee playing a sport, so she needed crutches, and so she was looking for pads for the crutch underarms and the handles, because if you're walking on that all day during school, that can be very painful.
And there's an art to that, because if you've never done it before, pretty soon you wind up chafing your whole thing there.
Yes.
And it's a lot of pressure,
yes.
right?
Yes.
And then your elbows and your wrists. And meanwhile, your leg or knee, whatever it is like, sure, it's
healing.
off the ground. But, it's
right.
almost so what.
Right.
So when people come in to your store, do they ask for different brands, or do they describe their ailment and a device that
Some people do come in looking for a specific brand or a specific item. Sometimes they come in looking for suggestions, or sometimes they come in not knowing what they're really looking for.
Right.
So,
and people, I think we're running the phone number on the screen. If we haven't, it'll be up there for a second, so people can call you.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yes.
And again, it's Coral Reef, 100 medical supply, 143rd and South
in US
Dixie.
one, correct.
And we love small and medium-sized businesses, because that's the heart and soul of our country. And if you just look in that shopping center right there, that's America. When we there again, Pittman Photo's there, the paint company is there,
Right.
you're there. There's some other businesses. I think there's a little coffee window.
The butcher shop.
Yeah,
Yes.
butcher shop.
Yes.
True butcher shop.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
So like the old days, you could go in and order your
Mhm.
stuff right there.
My boys love going over to the barber shop.
All right.
The original Clippers, I
Yeah,
think
yeah,
it's called.
sure.
Yes.
And do they sit there and talk with everybody getting their haircuts,
Yes.
or do they actually get a haircut?
No, they get haircuts.
Okay.
Yes.
But it's a whole cultural thing when we see that happening.
Right.
And so you have a brochure here. Can we take?
Yes, of
All right.
course.
So people can go to your shop and they can
Mhm.
see that. All right.
Yes.
And-
We offer rentals as well. So if we have a customer that comes in or looking for a wheelchair for, let's say, family member that's coming from out of town. For example, during graduation time, we had a lot of rentals for wheelchairs for the grandparents that were coming in to go to the graduations at the university or their high school graduations. So they can rent them for a day or a week or for an entire month if needed.
Very good. And when people come in asking for a wheelchair, we know there's a lot of other stuff that they might be interested in. It's just the way it is.
Mhm.
If you walk into a restaurant,
Yes.
you're going to order some other
Something
stuff.
else, correct.
So what are some of the other things that somebody is in a wheelchair and things that they might need that they don't know yet?
Cushions for the wheelchair.
Who knew?
So yes, obviously the wheelchair has a seat, but it may not be very comfortable. So you want to put a cushion
So that's,
there.
I don't want to call it plastic vinyl.
Yes, it's a cloth vinyl.
It's very strong, right?
Very strong.
But there's a cushion that you can get. It's a couple inches thick. And
Right,
It's
right.
nice, so you don't.
Yes,
have
and
to
there's
rear end.
different types. There's gel, there's foam, there's cushions with coccyx cutouts. So if you have tailbone issues or any kind of posture issues, it'll help you with that. We also have bags for people to put their stuff in the wheelchair. We also rent the knee walkers. So if you have an ankle injury, so you instead of using crutches, you can use a knee walker, also called a knee scooter. It looks like
I saw that once.
Yes.
So
So
you
you
sort
can
of-
keep your foot off the ground and then not hurt your arms, like you said earlier with the crutches. So you wheel yourself around. We rent those as well.
If somebody wants to rent one of those, typically, how long do they have that with that type of injury where they can't put pressure
It
on it?
depends on what their doctors advise, usually 2 to 4 weeks. So we rent those for either weekly or monthly.
And we know that people get out of the way when they see somebody
Yes.
like that. So tell us about your clients when they come in and talk about the handicap placard that they can get. Do you help direct them to where they can get
yes, we can help them direct them to get those placards.
And those are for people that really need it,
Yes.
not for guys
Correct.
feigning their
Correct. I
their
believe
injury.
you need a prescription or you need something from your doctor.
Yeah, and if you're
Yes.
under 30,
No.
probably you don't need that because you're taking that space from somebody who's really injured.
Right. Correct.
With that.
Yes.
And tell us what in a bathtub, somebody has a bathtub, what are some of the things they might want to put in and around that tub?
So if you have a bathtub, and sometimes getting over into the bathtub can be an issue. So there are a few things that you can use to get into the bathtub safely. You can also get grab bars to put around the walls so you can hold on to safely. And a lot of times people come into our store looking for the suction grab bars, which those are not recommended because a lot of people forget they're on a suction. So if you put all of your weight on it and it falls off the wall, it gets pulled off the wall, then you are going to go with it and get injured.
Because that's a precarious position where you have 1 foot on the ground, 1 foot in the air,
Right.
and you're going into a place that's typically wet, right?
Correct.
And slippery.
Yes,
right?
correct.
So they can get the handrails and guards around.
You can get
around there?
a rail to go on the bathtub. There's also shower benches that are halfway into the bathtub and halfway out, so it can help you get in and out. And you always have to make sure that your grab bars are secured into the wall and not just your tile,
Yes.
into the studs.
So, and because you think about all the accidents that happen in the bathroom,
Yes. Yes.
a lot of them are right there,
A lot. Yes.
where they wind up and then they fall right in the middle, right?
Yes.
They for sure hit their head someplace,
Yes.
right?
I carry a product called the Handy Cup. It's from a gentleman in Canada. He created this cup to put in his wheelchair because he suffered a bathroom accident. He was in the shower, I believe, or was in the bathroom, fell in the bathroom, and was paralyzed for life from that accident. So then, because of his condition, he couldn't reach the cup holder where most wheelchairs would put the cup holders. So he decided to invent a cup holder that would go under a cushion, so that they can, if you have a condition to where you can't reach the cup holder where it typically is, you can put it wherever you can reach it.
And
so,
and do you also help refer people to other places if they
of
need?
course.
So, and people that need some direction as far as their social well-being, their mental health, and
Yes.
a place where they can go and get this bigger picture stuff. Like, what am I going to do with Grandpa, who's now
Right.
years old, who's slipping?
Yes, we
Right.
do have referrals. Sometimes customers will call asking us if we have any, if we know of any at-home healthcare aids. We do have referrals for that. Sometimes customers will call asking for power wheelchairs. We referred them out to somebody else. So we do try to help the customers out as much as we need, even if we can't help them in our store.
Yes, and that's an appropriate thing to do,
Right.
especially in a time of need like that.
Correct. Mhm.
So you can, if somebody wants to rent, let's say, a wheelchair, you can deliver to them.
Yes, we
They
can do
do it for a
delivery.
day, a week, a month, all right?
Correct.
And then when the time is up, you go pick it up and you bring it back.
Correct. Yes, and
So-
we rent hospital beds. We also rent lift chairs, which are very crucial, especially if you have any type of surgery, knee surgery, back surgery, any hernia surgeries, abdominal surgeries, because they help not just to help you recline, but they assist in lifting you up while you're recovering.
So years ago, if somebody had a hospital bed per se, where it lifts up like this, it
Right.
was like really unique. Now those type of beds are sold everywhere.
Yes.
Right. And I don't know how long it's been, maybe 10 years of consequence, maybe longer, but it's sort of common. All right. Because they figured out, you can, if you're,
It's
if you
easy.
can't move, all right, too well, they just move that sucker up
Right.
and you'll be able to sit there. Lots of times people have, they sprain different muscles or
Right.
bones, the wrists, ankles, elbows. All right. You have the compression, the ace bandage type of approach.
We do have compression sleeves for calf muscles. We have them for the arms. We have medical compression stockings as well. If you're traveling, you should always, not always, but you should try to wear some kind of compression, especially if you have
And why is that?
circulation.
This is not medical advice, but why is it recommended?
It's recommended because it keeps your circulation going, pumping. So if you're
Instead
sitting,
of settling in.
right. So if you're sitting for a long period of time, especially at high altitudes, you may want to keep your blood flowing, and it helps prevent blood clots.
So folks, if you've never used them, give them a try, because it helps change your thinking, because your body it's altered,
Right.
and helping it flow instead of settle.
Correct.
It sort of helps the blood come back up.
Mhm.
Right.
Correct.
And let's talk. A lot of people have asthma, and they have respiratory problems, especially
Right.
recently in the last couple of years.
Mhm.
Tell us about those supplies.
We have nebulizers and all of the supplies needed. Sometimes we have customers call and they say, "Oh, I needed to use my nebulizer machine lately," so they come in and look for a face mask or a medicine cup for that nebulizer mask. So especially during allergy season, with COVID, a lot of people needed to use nebulizer machines as well.
Good.
So-
Let's talk a little bit about you. What'd you do before you decided to get into this field?
I was a customer service representative for insurance.
And before that?
Before that, I've been doing that
Mike,
for
I'm only 18.
I've been doing that for 15. I did that for 15 years.
Oh, no
Yes,
kidding.
Yes.
Right.
So,
And you live in the area? You have some,
I lived in South Florida since 2009. I'm originally from Kansas City.
from where?
Kansas City, Missouri.
Oh my goodness. From Missouri. All right.
Yes.
And your family's up there?
My mother, my father are there. Yes. My sisters, my brother's in Atlanta.
And what brought you to here?
Just the weather. I came here to visit, and then I moved here. I was here for 2 weeks and fell in love with Florida, so Miami in particular. So it was a different change from the winter months. I came during my winter, so it it wasn't hard for me to
So
fall in
Laura,
love
get
with Florida.
some of that Missouri weather, get it down here so
No.
it cools off just a little bit.
Just
which
a little
doesn't-
bit, yes.
10 degrees difference would
Yes,
make a big
yes,
difference.
yes.
So in a moment, I'm just going to ask you to speak to some young person that's out there, all right?
Okay.
That's looking at you right now and say, I like her, right? And she's doing that in business, all right? So what I'd like you to do is to talk to them like it's somebody that you really care about. Let's say somebody's 14 to 18 years old.
Okay.
That's feeling a little out of kilter because of all the things that have been happening the last couple of years, and offer some encouragement. And you're going to look at which one, the blue camera? Oh, the middle one, the red one right there.
Okay.
Just talk right to it.
So if oh my gosh, I don't know where to,
It's
where
okay.
to start.
We're going to start over again. Give them some words of encouragement.
Okay, so if you're ever stuck and you feel like you don't know what you are, what's your purpose in life, it's going to take a little while to figure it out, but just follow your passion and always be true to yourself, and you'll figure out what you're really supposed to do with life.
Great. Terrific. All right. And one of the things that I learned when I was in college, the college professors come over here. We've got a special class. I go, it's in their office, this big. Like, what's the problem? I said, when I start writing, I just get stuck.
Yes.
He says, well, why don't you just get stuck, pause, and then start again? And that's what you're saying is just find out what it is, all right? And then move forward.
You won't have the answer right away. It's going to take a while.
Right. It's just, and if you're lucky, you find out, all right? And then I wanted that in, and then you can change your mind whenever you want.
Right.
Just like you decided to go in that business before you were not in that business. You were in the insurance business.
I was doing my bachelor's in alternative medicine.
Mm-hmm.
So I paused that because that was kind of another thing I had on my plate at the time that we took the management of the store. So I decided to pause that. And then since since then I've thought about, do I really need that bachelor's in alternative medicine, or can I get that bachelor's for something else that'll benefit the store?
So what's your decision? What are you going to do?
I would like to at some point possibly have a pharmacist in the store.
Mm-hmm.
So if possible and my time allows, I would probably look forward to getting my pharmacy degree.
Very nice.
So I've changed my mind.
That's okay.
A few times.
And who knows, right at the end, the rest
run.
of it comes out.
Yes.
Well, that's terrific.
Yes. So it's a good thing to take your time and, like you said, pause and think about it.
Laura Lucas, Coral Reef Medical Supply. Thank you very much for
you.
joining us again.
Thanks for
This is
having
Live
me.
with Miami's Communities. Best of luck to you and your family.
You.
Again,
Thank you.
Coral Reef Medical Supply, phone number you can find online. And if you give them a call, pay them a visit. Folks, thanks for joining us. Have a good